Alright, I got some reviews coming your way, and my Halo 5 review was kind of a bust. I think I have to refilm that because there was just too many technical difficulties. I got Rise of the Tomb Raider coming at you. But in the meantime, let's talk about Bond. James Bond, because I promised these for you guys, and like I said, it is going to be reviewed in order from favorite to least favorite, not in order of release date, so just keep that in mind. But let's get started with continuing my Bond series. I already reviewed Spectre, now let's review
Bond.
Bond.
Bond. Bond.
It's Bond.
The name's Bond. James Bond.
Skyfall. I'm dressed up because this is James Bond, and from here on out, this is going to contain a lot of spoilers, so you have been warned if you haven't seen Skyfall. Skyfall is the 23rd Bond film in the official 007 James Bond film series, the third to star Daniel Craig, second if you don't count Quantum of Solace, like most normal human beings on the face of this planet. Oh, you betcha, this movie kicked ass. First of all, you get this badass action sequence for the pre-title sequence. It is awesome. It is Bond and Eve chasing an assassin named Patrice who has stolen a hard drive from MI6. You don't know what's on that hard drive, but they're in Istanbul. There's a bike chase on rooftops. And this, sitting there in the theater just watching this, I was watching this action scene, I was like, this is such a breath of fresh air compared to Quantum of Solace. Now, I don't necessarily think Quantum of Solace is bad. It's right in the middle of the pack for me, but it's not that good either. This was the Bond movie that we not only needed, but that we deserved. Because it lies in the simplicity of the movie. The whole premise of this movie is that a hard drive is stolen from MI6. MI6 gets bombed. Pretty much, somebody is after M. She needs to figure out who it is, so she sends Bond to investigate. That's how simple it is. It doesn't get any more complicated than that. It's that simple because Quantum of Solace was just a mess, and we just needed something simple to make Bond's 50th anniversary be special, and this was. And you get this sweet-ass action scene, like I said, there's a bike chase on top of the Grand Bazaar in Istanbul, then they jump on a train, Bond's in an excavator and stuff, and they're fighting on top of a train. Eve is following them in a car. She doesn't have much road left, so she has to get out and take the shot. Bond and Patrice are fighting on top of a train. M's like, take the bloody shot! Eve's worried she might hit Bond, and she's like, I'm gonna hit Bond, and then M's like, take the bloody shot! And then this happens. Whoa, 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 wait, what? Did that chick just shoot James Bond? Hasn't she seen the previous 22 movie? Bond, bitch. Best part of this whole scene is when he climbs out of the excavator and runs along the arm of it, and the arm is pulling out the train. Look at what it's decoupling the trains, it's pulling out the trains, and then he jumps. He's there, he jumps, and then he lands, and he's like, oh, fix the cufflinks, boom, alright, let's kick ass. Nothing is more badass than that. And then we get the credit scene. The credit scene has awesome visuals in it with a great theme song by Adele. The rest of the movie is just as badass. This movie is 2 hours and 23 minutes long. It doesn't feel like it. It's just like Spectre didn't feel like it was 2 hours and 28 minutes long. There's a lot that goes on in these ordeals though, and you have a lot of interesting characters. Like for instance, Ralph Fiennes' character, Gareth Mallory. That guy was interesting. He's a dick, but like you can understand where he's coming from because it's just like you lost the hard drive containing the list of every NATO agent embedded in terrorist organizations across the globe. Bond failed, he is presumed dead. You understand where he's coming from. Ultimately, he's that dick government agent that's like, alright, we gotta make the 00 program, you gotta prove to me why it's relevant or else it's gonna become obsolete. Something that kind of carries over to Spectre, but I think this one kind of does it better. There's a lot of political dialogue and political drama in here, and it all makes sense, and it's all relevant. That's the thing about it. It's not overcomplicating things. It's just keeping everything simplistic. You don't have to think about the political dialogue. You don't have to think about the drama. Skyfall is you don't meet the main villain until about halfway into the movie, and let's talk about the main villain for a minute, because Javier Bardem plays Raul Silva. That guy is awesome. This guy is one of the best Bond villains of all time. First of all, it's Javier Bardem, and if you haven't seen No Country for Old Men, you don't know how menacing Javier Bardem can be, but the true menace in this movie is not Javier Bardem. It is Javier Bardem's hair. Like, seriously, look at that thing. That thing just spells menacing right there. Looks like he wanted to channel his inner John Bon Jovi, or he went into Nick Cage's house, stole a wig in the middle of the night, and just looked at all his wigs and was like, you know what, this one will do. This dude's first scene is amazing. Ultimately, Bond meets this girl named Severine, this hot-ass Bond chick. She works for Silva. She's employed by him. She takes Bond to his lair. It's this deserted island off like the coast of Japan or something. And the first shot was Silva. It's Bond tied up to a chair. First shot was Silva. He's coming down in an elevator. The first shot of him is him walking towards the camera. One still shot. It's one shot of him walking towards the camera and giving a monologue about rats. Then he pretty much reveals he's the one who blew up MI6 and he's going after M because he's on a vendetta. Oh yeah, I'll tell you about that too. This part, you get the new Q that's helping Bond. He is awesome, by the way. Bond brings Silva back to the old army barracks underground of MI6, and he's got Silva captured. He meets M, and you find out that Silva was once a 00 agent that was getting in too deep with a bunch of secrets, and the Chinese captured him, and they're like, you know what? We have 5 of your agents, M, and we have another one. We'll give you these 5 agents if you give us Mr. Silva, and M handed him over. Silva felt betrayed by M's trust, and now he wants to kill her. It's all a vendetta. The thing with Silva that I really like, his character is so weird and like erotic and just eccentric, but he's also a deranged psychopath. This elaborate let yourself get caught and escape plan, which is probably the one negative I can say about this movie, because you just think about it and you're like, they reveal the whole plan, like how it was years into planning, and you're just like, it's not credible because his plan is just so big for a goal so small, and it's like, it doesn't make sense. It's like, how does he know that a train's gonna be there so he can blow a hole in the subway? How does he know that M's gonna be in an inquiry and then he can go in there and kill her? He doesn't know that stuff, and his plan is just, like I said, it's just, he's overthinking things for a goal that is so small. He's got this big elaborate plan where his whole goal is just, oh, kill M. If you really want the basics and the whole elaborate plan of his whole plan, here it is. I'm gonna tell it to you. He's gonna steal this hard drive containing the list of every NATO agent undercover in every terrorist organization across the globe. He's gonna steal it. He's gonna post the first 5 names on everybody's hometown of YouTube, and more to come. Then he's gonna blow up MI6, make M look like the villain. He wants to humiliate her. He wants to discredit her. Bond gets a lead from that guy. He's gonna go to this casino in Macau or Masao. I don't know how to say it. I'm not Chinese. He's gonna meet one of Silva's employees, Severine. She's gonna lead him to the island where Silva is. Silva's gonna allow himself to get caught. Then he's gonna come up with this elaborate escape plan that involves going into the underground of London, into the subway. He's gonna let Bond give chase to him in the subway. Then you find out that it's years into planning, which doesn't make any sense at all. Because Bond chases him, and then Bond realizes he's going for M at her inquiry, because she's having an inquiry about whether the 00 program should be like obsolete and whether it's relevant or not. He's dressed as a policeman. He blows a hole in the subway, causes a train to go down to delay Bond, gets to the inquiry, is about to shoot M, and he hesitates. He shoots Gareth Mallory instead, and then there's this whole courtroom, which I think is actually the best part of the movie. The whole subway chase / the courtroom shootout is really, really entertaining to watch, even though it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Also, he can kill M in front of government officials, and he quite frankly fails to do it. And Bond's gonna leave this trail of breadcrumbs. He's gonna have Q leave this digital trail that only Silva can follow, and he's gonna take M to Skyfall, Bond's childhood home. Silva's gonna go there with his men, and he's gonna try and kill M, because Bond brings her there because he's like, people can't get hurt, we need him isolated. So there's gonna be this whole shootout, M's gonna die, Silva's gonna, die, Bond can't save M. It's kinda hard to see whether or not Bond failed or whether or not he succeeded. I think it could go either way, because he and M ultimately set out and succeeded in their plan to get Silva isolated. They brought him back to a place where they would have the advantage, in this case Bond's childhood home, Skyfall Lodge. I think Bond knew what the stakes were. He even told M that she was going to be used as the bait, as a way to lure Silva to Skyfall. It was just, at that point, the matter of keeping her alive, and I think Bond knows he failed in that aspect, but he knows that he succeeded in eliminating the threat and keeping it as isolated as possible. So I think it goes both ways. And then the end is like the most classic thing ever, because you find out that Eve is Moneypenny, and then they're back in Whitehall, which is like the original, where Bond and M's offices were, pretty much, in like the old school Bond movies, like From Russia with Love, Goldfinger. They're back in those offices, and the new M? Gareth Mallory. He's just like, alright, 007, you ready to get back to work? And Bond's like, with pleasure, M, with pleasure. And then the Bond theme plays, and the gun barrel comes up. Alright guys, yeah, the gun barrel is at the end. It should be at the beginning, I know, but if Sam Mendes says that the shots at the beginning did not match up, they didn't match up. I trust the guy. He made 2 good Bond movies. Quantum of Solace, yeah, it's a different story when I talk about Quantum of Solace's gun barrel. Ultimately, this movie has a lot of layers to it that you don't expect. The plot's a lot thicker than it is. Skyfall is my favorite Bond movie. It doesn't overdo the action. It's got great characters, great dialogue. I love the interactions Bond has with all these characters. He's got great interactions with Moneypenny. He's got great interactions with Q. His and Q's bickering back and forth is just classic Bond and Q. He's got a great relationship with M. You can tell there's like a mother-son type of relationship there. He's got great dialogue and great banter between Silva, the main villain. Everything in this movie meshes together. The action scenes are really cool. The dialogue is really good. The characters are good. You have a bigger plot and premise than you think you're in for. All in all, Skyfall is just about likable. If it wasn't for that crazy elaborate plan, and they kind of overdid it with the plan, I think, but for the most part, it was simplistic and you could follow it, and it's something we needed after the mediocrity of Quantum of Solace. This is why Skyfall is my favorite Bond movie. Skyfall is excelente. Oh, I also forgot to mention too that the reason why Silva kind of falls into that category of classic Bond villain, he's got that deformity, you know, he's got a false jaw from chewing on a cyanide capsule too much. Oh, I also forgot to mention too that the reason why Silva kind of falls into that category of classic Bond villain, he's got that deformity, you know, he's got a false jaw from chewing on a cyanide capsule too much. Yeah, it's a great deformity. So what do you guys think is your favorite Bond movie for all you Bond fanatics out there? Guys, thank you so much for following me with these Bond reviews. I'm gonna be doing a lot of these throughout the course of the next few weeks. I'll try and mix some other stuff in there. Like I said, I got Halo 5, Rise of the Tomb Raider, the new Hunger Games is coming out next week. I'll probably review that, sure. But in the meantime, I got a question for you. What is your favorite Bond movie? I don't even have to tell you mine. I just told you what mine is. Whatever it may be, I want some feedback, so drop me a comment in the comments section below. And for more news and reviews on movies, movie trailers, video games, and TV shows, like me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter. If you're on YouTube, hit the big red subscribe button, and welcome to my world. Bond out.